Hey everyone, Dylan and Carlo here from All You Can Board, doing our first dual on-camera video in a while because Carlo just became a dad in the last month, which is super exciting. Yeah. Congratulate him in the comments if you haven't. So today we're doing a video that's sort of a video version of an article we posted on our website way back, which is stealing games from each other's collection. So we had done an article, I think we stole 3 games from each other's collection at the time. We picked games we didn't own but the other person did, and why we would steal them from our own collection because we wanted to have them in ours. And it was a pretty popular article, and we had a lot of fun doing it, and so we knew we wanted to do a video version for a while. So we're going to do this in 2 parts. Today, Carlo's going to be stealing games from my collection because we're obviously here. In the future, very soon, we're going to do a video at Carlo's place, and I'm going to be stealing games from his collection. So we're going to be stealing 5 games each. I'm a little nervous. I mean, he's not actually...
Yeah, I was going to say, let's be clear. Yeah. I'm not actually stealing your games.
No, but now that I know you want them, you might one day.
I guess so. We talked about it. We were like, should we maybe set out a thing where like we steal it for like 3 months or steal it for 6 months? I think both of us were like...
6 months?
Well, I just...
I'll buy you a copy in that time.
Exactly.
I'll just buy you a copy.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I want you taking certain games off my shelf for that long, but yeah.
So I don't know what Carlo's going to steal. I have some guesses, but I'm just going to let you take over. Did you order them these are the in this order? You just picked 5.
Not exact. I think I'm kind of ordering them in terms of the ones I'm most certain about, because I think the fifth one I'm going to kind of waffle on here and almost see if you can help me kind of almost decide which one. But one thing I want to mention that we kind of discussed in advance, because I asked Dylan, I'm like, well, what's the criteria for stealing, right? Because like I just told him, why don't I just like steal like Tainted Grail or your deluxe title blades, which is worth a lot, and then I can just like, if I don't want the game, I just sell it on the secondhand market and then use that money to buy more games. He's like, no, you can't steal the game just to sell it. Like, how dirty is that? So this is strictly games, like the way I made my list here is games that I would want, but also games that have like, that cost a decent amount of money or that are harder to find kind of thing. Like if Dylan has like a $15 or $20 game on his shelf that's in stock at any board game store, I'm probably not going to steal it because I could just buy my own copy. So I'm going to explain my reasoning a little more through the games as I go through them, but that's kind of the basic approach I took. So I do have a list here. I don't even need it yet for the first game because I know it might be a kind of a curveball for you. I don't know if you see this one coming, but I'm going to steal what is hands down the best Uwe Rosenberg game in your collection, which is...
I knew you weren't going to grab.
Yeah, I knew you knew. Okay.
I thought you were going to grab Hallertau.
Nope.
Wow.
Newsfjord. Okay. This is designed by Uwe Rosenberg, one of our absolute favorite designers, published by Lookout Games. It's a 1 to 5 player game. This game is amazing. I didn't expect a whole lot of it when it first was introduced. The theme seemed kind of a little, not boring, but a little dry. Fishing game, whatever. You know, we're used to playing games by Uwe Rosenberg where there's like tons of resources, and in this one I think it's just wood and fish. Right, yep. And then you have money too, but it's basically just wood and fish. Yep. And it's a worker placement game.
And gold, I guess, but like...
Yeah. And I won't get too into the mechanics, but there's basically, you have these elders that you can recruit that allow you to take other actions. In every game, there's a variable set up with these buildings of levels like A, B, and C, or there might be level D as well. And it kind of like, they have different powers, and some trigger immediately when you buy them. Some have effects that go out throughout the game. And so when the game is set up, you kind of spend the first little bit looking and planning your strategy. Which buildings are you going to go? What kind of synergies are you going to try to get? And it's very tight. Like, the reason I even did the little lead up for those, I'm sure anyone who watches the channel often knows how much Dylan loves A Feast for Odin.
Well, I'm not even offended you're stealing this game off my shelf. I'm offended that now that in your eyes, Newsfjord and Agricola are both better games than Feast for Odin. That's the bigger offense here.
No, this is Newsfjord is, I think it's such an amazing game and pretty underrated as far as Uwe Rosenberg games go. What I love most about worker placement games is when you feel like it's a bit of cutthroat. You're really like competing for the spots, and there's so many, like we've only played this together I think 3 times or maybe twice, but it feels like most of the things you get in this game, there's only one spot to get it in. Yeah. And there's been so many times we play it where like you take an action that I know is just like, you didn't really need that, you just did it to block me. Yeah. And I've done the same to you before. I see like, oh, this will really hurt Dylan if I take this thing, and then it's like you gotta wait till the next round to do this thing. And timing is really important here with when you can put fish out on the plates to be able to use the fish to kind of like feed your elders or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, I love the game, and it plays really quickly. It kind of sits in that same space as Glass Road for me, for Uwe Rosenberg, where Glass Road isn't worker placement, but in the sense that it gives you the feel of a heavier, more rewarding game, but it's got a fairly short playtime. Like, both times we played it, or 3 times or whatever, we've had to kind of revisit the rules because there was some time between. But I feel like once we knew the game well enough, like if we were to play it twice in a row, I feel like the second game we could play probably like 45 minutes. Yeah. Maybe less. Like, it's a quick playing game, gives you a lot to think about. And because I've heard that the solo mode in this is amazing too, the fact that I just became a dad, like I'm in starting to already do a decent amount of solo gaming. I'm going to be doing more. This would be the ideal game to steal and be able to play around solo. Like, it says 20 minutes to 100, so it's 20 minutes per player. Like, to be able to set up, like, with setup and teardown, or leave it set up on my game table at home and just play around a Newsfjord in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, like, that just really appeals to me. I love this game so much. And it's nowhere in stock. Like, I can't find it anywhere in stock, and it's like, it is a fairly expensive game too, so like, I don't know, this one would hold a lot of value to me. This was my easy first choice.
I'll tell you what, I will give you Newsfjord if you admit publicly that Feast for Odin is the best Uwe Rosenberg game.
Wow, the best Uwe? Yeah. Not just the one on your shelf?
No, the best Uwe.
I can't.
Fine, I'll even make it easier. You just have to say the words, a Feast for Odin is better than Agricola, and you can have this.
I can't do it. Sorry, people. It might seem crazy, but I can't do it. Agricola is just too good, and
fair enough.
Sacrilege. But yeah, that's the first one that I would steal. That is Newsfjord. I'm going to maybe set this aside.
Yeah, I'll take them over here where you can't get your grubby hands on them.
Yeah, okay, and here's the thing. So Dylan has a lot of Uwe Rosenberg games that I don't have. Like, there's a decent amount of games in our collections that we have as overlap, but they tend to be more of like the family weight games, the ones that we kind of want to have for all occasions. But like, some of the games you have, I haven't bought because I'm like, oh, I can just play it when I go to Dylan's, or I've played it enough times, kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm trying not to make the list too one-sided. Honestly, I think the next one is another Uwe Rosenberg game. And it is Hallertau.
I was pretty surprised when you said Uwe Rosenberg and you didn't grab Hallertau, so now it makes sense you grab them both.
Yeah,
okay.
So Hallertau, and I'll say it right now before I go any further, if you didn't have Hallertau, the second one on my list probably would be Feast for Odin.
Okay.
But I think stealing...
So you think Hallertau and Newsfjord are better than Feast for Odin?
No, here's the thing. I don't know
and you better clarify.
Yeah. There better be a justification for this. Coming to your house talking this trash about Feast for Odin. No, I really like a Feast for Odin. It's an amazing game. Like, a really, really fun game. I'll happily play it like tons more times throughout my life. The reason why I'd be more likely to steal this is that... There's a couple reasons. So first off, this is a fairly newer game, also published by Lookout, same as Newsfjord. I feel like if I were to come over to your house and we're going to play a game that's going to take 2+ hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, like, you're never going to suggest Hallertau over a Feast for Odin.
Right.
And so I feel like as it is, we've played this once, like, not a year ago, but it was like over 6 months ago now.
Yeah.
And we've never played it again. And I feel like even the next time with, pandemic and me having a baby recently and stuff like that, it's like, when are we going to play this again next year?
Right.
So I'm eager to play it, and having played it, even though it does have more kind of like player interaction and stuff than a Feast for Odin, I think, and there's more competition for spots and the kind of thing with the spots getting more expensive. You put, you want to take the same spot, you have to spend 2 workers now if the first person put 1. I have to spend 3 workers and all this kind of competition. I feel like because it's such an optimization puzzle with like, so for those who don't know, every round you have this like community center that you're trying to push to the side, and when you at the end of every round, there's almost like these requirements where you have to provide a certain number of resources, and it might be like you need like, I don't know, 4 brick and 3 wheat and this jewel and a couple wood and whatever. And it's like, if you have, let's say, like, I don't know how many of them you need, 12 resources. If you have 11 out of those 12, but you don't have that 12th resource you need, then you just don't get to push the community center. And then it's like, you don't get an extra worker, which like, it can really set you back. So I feel like the game, when we played, even at 2 players, we both spent a lot of time like looking at our resources, counting everything up, looking at the actions and being like, I have to really calculate and make sure I'm able to do this, because if not, it's going to really punish me. So it's a game I don't even want to play with more than not that I don't want to, but like if I were playing a heavier game with more than 2 players, there's so many other games I'd pick ahead of it. Yeah. And even with 2 players, there's so much of just optimizing your puzzle kind of thing. There's so many other games we might play that I feel like I would love to try this solo, because it seems to me like it would be best solo or with 2 players. Right. And so that's why I think like the stealing, I don't know if I like it more than a Feast for Odin yet. It's pretty close for me. Yeah. And I might like it less, but I would steal it because the game's like $100 brand new. I don't really want to go buy it myself, at least yet. But I feel like if I don't steal this from you, like, when am I going to play it again? Whereas a Feast for Odin, I've already played 6-7 times before, so I've kind of like explored more of what there is. Hallertau, I'd really want to explore more, that really unique card system where you can just play so many cards throughout the game. You play this card, it triggers this thing, which lets you draw another card, and then you play another card, and playing cards is when it's not even your turn and stuff. Like, I want to explore this a lot more, and I feel like I'm not going to do it while it's in your collection, because if we come over and it's up to you and someone says, let's play a worker placement game, you're going to suggest, a Feast for Odin or any number of other worker placement games before this, so that's why I would steal this one.
It makes sense. I just feel like this video has just become like devastate Dylan's love for Peace Froden, but
I worried
it's fine. I understand that there's the secret agenda here with this video. I accept it.
Yeah, honestly, and here's the thing. Like I said, if you hadn't bought this, because I don't want to just steal all your Uwe Rosenberg games. Like, I love his games. There's only room for so many on each person's shelf kind of thing. Like, I don't need to own them all. And I wanted to steal at least 2 because you have a bunch of good Uwe Rosenberg games that I don't have.
Yeah.
But I'll just tell you right now, Uwe Rosenberg, Feast Froden's not going to be one that I steal because I don't want 3 of my 5 games to be Uwe Rosenberg games. So I figured I'd get these 2 sort of out of the way right now. So the second one after Newsfjord is Hallertau.
Okay. Pretty soon we'll own enough Uwe Rosenberg games each that we can just do a video that's, instead of the 5 games I would steal, it's just the 5 Uwe Rosenberg games I would steal.
Yeah, and honestly, there's some of his big ones. Caverna we haven't played yet. Le Havre we haven't played yet. Oret, Labora. There's a few more, so like eventually over time we want to go either pick up one of them each or whatever, or go to a game cafe and try them out. And we do want to do like our favorite Uwe Rosenberg games in a video one time sort of thing. But anyway, that's another discussion for another day. I'm going to just check my... Oh, no, I shouldn't need to check my list. And I don't know if you... It's weird because Dylan didn't like move these games around to get ready for me coming over, but I feel like I'm not even going to have to get up for most of these.
They're all within arm's reach?
All within arm's reach.
There you
so the
go.
next one... What the heck? Wow!
I know you too well.
You can't
there's no way you can take.
Well, can I peel this tape off? Or
I
is
don't
it gonna
know.
ruin
If you ruin my box now, you're gonna have to buy me a new one.
Okay, well then.
You know,
I'll just show the side.
Show the side of it. You don't have to show. You don't have to show people the cover because you're not going to steal this.
But the cover is beautiful. Look at it. It's so nice. Here, let's peel that back just a little bit. Wow. As I was grabbing it, I'm like, what's this thing stuck to it? So, anyways.
Wow. Just put that right here.
He knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. And also, if you steal it, you can on one condition. You can steal Keyflower if it means you buy me a new one, so I can replace this like broken box that I had.
Was that Desmond?
No, that was just the box breaking somehow. I don't really know how that happened.
Fair enough. Were you storing your games on top of each other like some sort of animal?
Maybe. Yeah, I was an animal for a while, but.
So Keyflower, which he knew I was coming for, and this is because when we did that article last time, it was one of the 3 that I said I would steal from you, but. Keyflower is an amazing game. Honestly, of the 5 I'm stealing today, it's probably my favorite. It's just... It's not as expensive or as hard to find. It's pretty much always in stock. It's like $50. I'll probably buy it at some point. This was one of the games when I have somewhere around 100 games in my collection now. When I owned like 5 or 6 games, this was one of the ones at the top of my to buy list, and it was out of stock for a while. And then I remember you bought it, and I was like, oh, I'll try it at Dylan's first. Mm-hmm. We tried it. We were both completely blown away. Such a good game, even at 2 players. Yeah. It's 2 to 6. We've always talked about how like it'll be absolute madness to play it as a 6-player
One day
game.
we're gonna try.
One day we're gonna try it at 6 players. It'd be just crazy to try. But another worker placement, so 3 worker placement games on the list now. But this one has auctions built in, which is really what sets this game apart. The basic idea is the game plays over 4 seasons. Everyone has a little private screen where you keep your little workers behind, and there's blue, yellow, and red workers to start the game. And basically you pull some out of a bag. No one knows what other players are starting with, and you have your own. Each player has their own little territory they're building where you gain tiles throughout the game to add to your territory. But the auction thing comes into play because there's kind of a market of tiles available every season, and on your turn, your action is that you're either using a meeple or a certain number of meeples from behind your screen to take an action on one of your own tiles that you have, or take an action on a tile that's in the market that is still up for grabs, or the third and most interesting, which is the auction thing, is you can place a worker to kind of bid on the opportunity to gain that tile. And let's say I put 1 yellow worker next to the tile, not on top of it. That means I'm bidding for it. So then the next player can try to outbid me, but they have to have 2 meeples of that same color. So now they'd have to have 2 yellow meeples. But you can come right out the gate and bid 2 or bid 3 when there's nothing there. Yeah. Each tile can have a maximum of, I think, 6 workers. So if I come out the gate right away and bid 3, you always have to outbid, so no one can match with 3, and you can't bid 4 because that'd be 7 workers. So you can just claim a tile right away by bidding 3, but then it's like, what if I would have been able to get it with just 1 or 2? You're wasting workers. And then players can still, whether there's bids or not, players can put workers on there, and then whoever wins the tile is going to take the tile and any workers on there. So you can say like, oh man, I lost the bid for that, but I really want to just take the action anyway. But even then, my opponent's going to gain that worker, so they're going to increase their supply. So throughout the game, second or third round might start, and I might have 25 workers behind my screen. You might have like 12. Someone else might have like 14. Like no one knows how many workers. Different colors. You might have 3/4 of your workers are yellow, so you're trying to remember. I feel like he used all his red workers before, kind of thing. Yeah. Super interesting game. There's green workers that you can get later, which I feel like you always do, and you always destroy us with. I'm always like, I don't need the green workers, not that good. And then it's like, Dylann just bids one green worker on a tile and gets like the strongest tile no one can get. Amazing game.
It's a great game.
I love this. It's on Board Game Arena too if you want to try it. It's pretty well implemented on there.
It can have a bit of a learning curve the first time you try to learn the rules. There's some intricacies to it that I think were a little bit hard to wrap my head around the first time. But after you play it that first time, even the second time, then it's just sort of second nature, and I've had no problem teaching it to other people. But yeah, it's a phenomenal game. I love it.
So good. And you have these sort of objective tiles at the start of the game where everyone gets these 3 tiles that you look at that are basically only going to come into play in the final season. And you have to decide in the final season, do you put 1, 2, or 3 of them into the common market to be bid on? So if you were holding 3 at the start, but you only think you can score 1 of those, you don't want to put the other 2 up for grabs kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're gaining boats with new workers every round to increase your supply, and they have them hidden behind your screen. There's so much like trash talking. It's a really fierce game, and I've never played a game that meshes auctioning with worker placement like this. I absolutely love Keyflower. This was a pretty easy choice for me.
And yet you can't have it.
Well, next time we're going to do a video where we're actually stealing, and I will steal that one for good, okay?
And I'm going to have problems probably ripping that off the cover, and I'm going to ruin it, and that's all going to be at the expense of this joke.
I'm very surprised you taped that on there, you animals. Like, first you destroy the corner of the box, and then you go putting tape on it.
The box is already destroyed.
Did you test that tape on a worse, less expensive game first?
No test.
You didn't tape another game?
You went to the bathroom and I had to tape it on super fast, so I just quickly did it.
All right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Next up here, this one might actually come... This might be the first one that surprises you today.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but...
Okay. There's no more... I haven't written anything else on any boxes, so...
Just, hang on a second.
Wow.
I'll just make it clear that...
Okay.
I would also be stealing...
Everything?
Well, I mean...
I have 2 copies of the core set.
Oh, okay. Well, then you should just give it to me. Why do I have to steal this?
Because you need both copies to do proper deck building. That's how you get all the copies. Yeah.
Okay, so there's Arkham Horror, the card game. Then there's...
The Return to Dunwich Legacy expansion. Or not expansion.
And then there's Return...
This is Return...
What is the Knight of the Zealot?
That's what's in the box, and then so this is basically an advanced version of this.
Okay.
And it comes with new cards and new buildings.
So here's the thing. I debated this pick for a bit because at first I thought, is it cheating to take the expansions with it? But then I thought, well, if I steal just the base game, like I'm not leaving you with expansions that you can't play with. So I thought it only makes sense.
What a thoughtful thing.
I know. I just may as well clear out some more shelf space.
It's like if FIFA breaks into the house, he's like, well, I took the TV, I might as well take the Blu-ray player. What's he going to play it on?
Exactly, right? I don't know. It just made sense to me. So I actually don't know like a ton about Arkham Horror, the card game, but part of this goes back to, again, becoming a dad, playing more games at home solo. I've heard so many people say that this is their favorite solo game of all time. There's been a lot of people who have chimed in on our channel before to say it's one of their favorite games of all time, a game they'll never get rid of. From what I understand, it kind of plays similarly to Marvel Champions or Aeon's End, which we've talked about on the channel, especially obviously a bunch of you are Marvel Champions fans, and we have a huge following on the channel. And to me, the kind of like, because I'm not like huge into the Marvel theme, I haven't watched a lot of the movies kind of thing, that's not what draws me to the game. And because of how well this plays solo, and just the fact that you've told me before that this is more, that you don't like the gameplay of this one maybe quite as, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to put words in your mouth, but I seem to remember you mentioned you didn't quite like the gameplay as much in this one as Marvel Champions, but that the story was more engrossing, more involved.
Well, there's like Marvel Champions really doesn't have a narrative outside of like a minor thing.
Other than what emerges when you play kind of thing.
Yeah, Arkham is like very much like built around a narrative, and like even when you lose, you can continue on because it's just one of the paths in the narrative. It like encourages replayability that way and stuff. So yeah.
So yeah, this is one I've been wanting to try it for a while. Part of me was like almost like waiting to see if like one day you might get rid of it and put it in your like to sell pile. And
I mean, with how much Marvel Champions stuff I have to do all the time, like, or not have to do, want to do all the time. One day I might just have to because I just don't have the time to do it.
Yeah, and if nothing else, I might even ask to just borrow it one day to try it out, because if I do really like it, like it's a game that I might actually get because again, if the theme, not that I'm super into like the I guess it's like Lovecraft theme or whatever, right? Like I don't, not that I'm not into it, I just haven't really read a whole lot of them or watched a lot of these movies and kind of thing. But yeah, the idea of this kind of like building story game and these different scenarios you can play through and whatever, like it's just a really intriguing game to me, mostly for the solo play. But because I know I really liked Aeon's End, but what got me to kind of put it in my, we do these curating my collection videos, and in the last one I mentioned that I'm going to be getting rid of it, is that I've kind of seen all there is to see without wanting to go buy more expansions kind of thing. And I know that even though I enjoy playing Marvel Champions, I'm not going to go buy it and get super into the game. And I thought I kind of miss Aeon Zen in some ways, but I don't need to be playing over the same boss fights over and over that I've played and exploring the same mages that I've already tried out and whatever. So yeah, it's one I've really wanted to try for a long time, and I feel like it's nowhere near the top of the list of games that we're going to play together. There's just so many other games ahead of it that I would steal it just for the being able to try it out at home on my own at least.
Yeah, it's a surprise. I wasn't expecting it, but it makes total sense, and actually makes me happy that you want to steal it because I think you'll actually really enjoy it.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I think I remember you saying that. Okay, well maybe I'll come back and take it some other day if you're not ready to part with it yet, and I will take the expansions.
Yes, take them.
You don't have to say
it only makes sense.
Okay. The last one here is I struggled over this for a while. I honestly still haven't 100% decided. The thing is, there's a few that I waffled between. I'll just pull them both out, and maybe you can help me out here.
Who can help you out? Me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna help decide which one you're gonna steal.
Well, here's the thing. So there's Ethnos is one of them that I'm considering. The other one is Snake Oil.
Wow. You were comparing Ethnos and Snake Oil?
I'm not comparing them.
No, I know, but compare which one you would steal here.
Again, remember, this video isn't about which games I think are better than each other or which ones I want to play more often necessarily. It's totally in the context of which one I would steal. And before I even decide on these, the other ones I was thinking, like, again, Biblios, for example, like I like Biblios more than either of these games. I would happily steal it, but it's always in stock. It's like a $20 game. Like I can pick up my own copy of Biblios easily whenever I want. The reasoning behind deciding between these is like, Ethnos is an amazing game that ranges, I think it's 2 to 6 players, right? Yeah. Plays in like an hour max. There's just something we've talked, I mean, you did a review about it on our channel. We've talked about it before on the channel. Yeah. It's an area control game that plays probably quicker than any other area control game I've played. It has this Ticket to Ride feel where you're just, the turns just kind of fly by. It goes around really quickly. The scoring is interesting. Won't get too much more into it. Designed by Paulo Mori. We want to play more of his games because... he hasn't designed too many games yet, but he's also done Via Magica, which you have. Yeah. The reason why I hesitated on this one, because last time when we did the article on the website a while back, I did have this as one of my 3. The thing is, I feel like it's not, even though it plays with 2, I'm not interested in playing it really as a 2-player game. Right. Even 3 is like, even though it's good, we have enough games between us that it's never going to be like our first or second choice. Yeah. Like I feel like the real draw to this is the 4 to 6 range because it's like, it accommodates more players, but it's still a quick game. Sometimes it's hard to find a game that plays that quickly, but has that like a bit more meatiness than just playing a filler game. Yeah. So realistically, usually when I play games with more than 3 or 4 people and people who want to play like an interactive, fighty kind of area control game, usually you're there. Yeah. So that's the reason why I've hesitated on this one, just because in the certain sense of stealing it, like if I steal it and keep it in my place, I'm probably just going to play it with you before I play it with other people anyway. So I just don't know if the value is there for me to actually steal this one from you. Whereas Snake Oil, what does it say? 3 to 10 players. So this is one of the most approachable, easy to learn games on Dylann's shelf. Most people haven't even heard of this or played this game, but it's hilarious. So the idea is everyone starts with a hand of, I think it's 7 or 8 cards, and the card will just have a word, like it'll say like mountain or chair or grass or wall or whatever. There's just like tons of cards, each that have just one random word, and you're a snake oil salesman. So you're making a pitch. Every round plays out where one person is the snake oil salesman and everyone are potential buyers, and you're basically making a pitch, and you have to take 2 cards from your word and you combine them in any order. So you can take, again, just taking the ones I mentioned, like mountain and chair. So you can make like, oh, I got this awesome product. It's the mountain chair. Why is it better in the mountains? Because, and you come up with your reasons or whatever, and you're trying to convince people to buy your snake oil salesman.
Why would you do mountain chair when you could have done chair mountain? That's way better.
Well, exactly. I don't know. I was just on this, but you're right. And this is the thing, is the reason I almost hesitate on this one too is because you're amazing at this game, and you always come up with the most hilarious ideas that, like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to play this without you, but, like, I almost hesitated to pick this because I thought I always have such a good time playing this game with you that I would almost feel weird playing with other people and being like, oh, I wish Dylann was here to play this. But because it plays up to 10 players, a lot of the time it's like if I'm getting together like with maybe my wife's side of the family or some people who play games who don't want like a heavier, more intense, fighty kind of game, or some people who don't play games as often, I feel like this is something you can teach super quickly, and the player count doesn't even really matter. I feel like there was a while ago, maybe it was one of your birthdays or some sort of gathering a couple of years ago, I think we had like 14 people playing, and we just did it where not everyone had to get a turn, because in the rules it says you have to play a certain number of rounds, whatever, and a lot of time these party games, the scoring doesn't really matter, but we just did like, hey, if you want to do a pitch, because sometimes too you don't feel comfortable, like people don't know each other well. It's a good icebreaker game, but sometimes you're like, I don't want to make a pitch if I don't have like a funny, good pitch to make kind of thing. Yep. But I like that we were just like, hey, if you have a pitch, cool. If not, sit out this round. And like our friend Corbin is hilarious at this. He sounds like an actual like shady used car salesman, basically trying to convince. He does doing a different voice. It's like an infomercial. Buy 2 now, get this shipping is free. Call now and whatever. It's like I love this game. We've even house ruled stuff before where you have to throw in a jingle with it, where it's like there has to be a song, like a cheesy infomercial at the end.
Yeah.
So I think realistically, after talking it out, I would probably leave Ethnos behind, just because, again, I'll probably come play it at your place or get you to bring it over. I don't know, I'll set it aside. And I might still change my mind off camera and take them both, sneak it out in my bag.
Tell you what, I'll let you have both if you say that Feast for Odin is better.
Get out of here! I will not say this. You guys, if ever there's something on camera with me saying Feast for Odin is better than Agricola, just know that he does our video editing and it will be something that he edited behind the scenes. I don't think I'll ever admit to that on camera, unless he's like threatening me with something else. But yeah, so I think honestly, and even because like I had 3 worker placement games on the list, and all of them, like I guess Keyflower goes up to way more players, but like Newsfjord, Hallertau, and Arkham Horror, I could all play solo, would be great games. I feel like I needed something to round out the list that was like lighter and for more players. So,
yep.
And the big thing is like, this is a fairly expensive game. I think I've seen this online for like $40-50, and it's basically just a stack of cards, and it's always out of stock places too. So that was part of the reason for my stealing it. I just think it's an amazing game. I would love to play it, just have it at my house and be able to play it with anyone when I go out and get together with people, rather than like having to call you up and be like, hey, can I come borrow snake oil?
Right. Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Good pick.
But it was tough. There was, again, Biblios. I'll pull up my list too. Some of the other ones I had considered. See, a Feast for Odin, Biblios, Zolkin, the Mayan calendar.
Honorable mention of Feast for Odin. This is just shameful day. It's a shameful day at AYCB here.
But yeah, Zolkin, the Mayan calendar was the other one that almost made the list, but it's one that I'm happy to just, again, play with you rather than have in my own collection to show other people. But,
for sure.
All right, so yeah, those are the 5 games I would steal from Dylan's collection. Quick recap: Newsfjord, Hallertau, both by Uwe Rosenberg. Then there's Keyflower, Arkham Horror with expansions, of course, because it's just the polite thing to do. And then 5th would be Snake Oil, a really fun party game. There were some other games on the shelf too that you guys might see behind us. Some of these games, keep in mind, are games we co-own together, whether we were sent like a review copy to do something for the channel or we bought them together to do something for our channel. So, but I'm curious from what you guys can see on the shelves, if you could pick from the ones I stole or other things you can see back here, what are some of the games that you would steal from Dylan, and what would be your reasoning? I'm really curious to hear, and I'm also curious to see when this guy comes over. I might hide some of my games in advance.
Yeah, if you guys want to...
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, you should.
Thanks for encouraging, supporting that idea.
If you guys want to steal any games from my collection, I'll put my address up here on the screen. You can come by whenever you want. I'll leave the door unlocked, grab what you want.
You're just going to have like Marvel Champions set up and ready to go.
That's pretty much what everyone's going to come steal. We have so many Marvel Champions fans. I'm going to come one day and all my Marvel Champions.
Yeah, true.
You stole, like, it feels like you stole this a big chunk of the
shelf. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. It felt like you knew what I was going to steal.
I almost thought you were going to steal that too. You almost could have stolen that entire shelf.
Thought about it, but it's one of those ones, again, I can play it often, and it's like a 25 or 30, like it's so reasonably priced that, again, I can just get Castles of Burgundy for fair. Like, I factored in price and accessibility.
You're very financially efficient with
absolutely.
With your picks,
you gotta be. When you own a lot of board games, you gotta consider price and availability and all kinds of things if you're stealing people's games.
Yeah, you're very efficient with this. I'm impressed. I feel like I'm not going to look into as much stuff as you are when I pick mine. I'm just going to be like, I like this game, I want it, give it to me, and we're good to go.
I'm going to be like, dude, you can buy this for like $15. It's in stock right now. I'll buy you a copy.
This is great. Okay, well, those are our solid picks. The only one that really surprised me, I was a little bit surprised by Snake Oil. But the only one that really surprised me is Arkham Horror, but I'm like, it was a pleasant surprise because I'm glad that you're considering playing that as much as you are, because I think you'll actually really enjoy it.
Right on.
And I know we had talked about playing it before, even when we went to the cabin one time and stuff, but again, there's just like, there's too many games for us to play sometimes, and that one really, like, if we were going to sit down and play that, we'd have to play multiple times.
Right.
Because to finish a narrative, for you to properly experience it, right?
No, that makes sense. Yeah. And again, I hope you weren't too offended by the Feast for Odin stuff. I love the game. It's still probably going to be high up. When we do our top 50 eventually later this year or whatever, like, it's probably going to be still fairly high up. I really like it. It's
anything under the top 10, I'm going to be offended again.
Well, it's not going to be in the top. I'll tell you right now, it's not.
Then, you know what?
It's not going to be in the top 10.
Pretty soon, we're going to do an Agricola versus Feast for Odin video, and it's going to be the throwdown of the century. Coming in 2022, probably, maybe this year.
It'll probably be the most passionate you've seen us on this channel when it happens.
Get ready. Yeah, that was the first one. So we're gonna do another one of these where I steal games from Carlo's collection. You'll be seeing that in the very near future. So look forward to that. Maybe you can. I guess you guys haven't. I was gonna say you can start guessing what I'm gonna steal, but they haven't really seen much of your shelf. So
Yeah, exactly.
you might know some games he has, but you're gonna get a first. Maybe that'll be the first video you see your shelf. If not, it'll be one of the first
Probably.
ones. You'll get a nice big glimpse of Carlo's collection, what it looks like with his newly designed board game shelves and everything.
And maybe I'll be offended by you not stealing Agricola, unless you plan on stealing. No, whatever. Save it for later.
Normally I would steal Carcassonne, but your box is all like sun damaged and everything. I'll just buy my own copy.
Again, I was gonna say, buy the 20th anniversary edition that just came out. It's beautiful.
I should. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comments if you if you like this video, if you want to see other ones like this, if there's games that you have actually stolen from your friend's collection. Tell us and admit that in the comments. That would be great. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.
See ya.